I'm Megan Dolly, host of Why My Business Works. Today's guest is Rebecca Pogonitz, founder of GoGo Design Group in Chicago. She's been creating soulful, joy-filled homes since 2001. But here's the thing. GoGo doesn't just design spaces, she heals them. She sees color and texture and energy, not just as finishes and furnishings, but as instruments for well-being. Her journey has wound through music, Hebrew studies, PR, marketing, and architecture firms before she claimed her path as a designer. We're going to talk about that. And all of those twists show up in her work. The empathy, the storytelling, the artistry, the sense of design that can be healing. She's as likely to talk about energy flow, joy, and well-being as color palettes and textures. When she says she wants to create spaces that nourish your soul, you believe her because she's living it. Rebecca is candid, luminous, and full of wisdom, and I admit I'm a bit in awe of her, and I think you're about to be too.
Just listening to those words is humbling. Thank you. And thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Welcome, Rebecca. When we met, I had this instant draw to you and your energy that
Oh,
exude qualities people want in their homes.
oh, thank you. My brand is me, right? What makes my brand unique is who I am and what I've worked hard to become. To hear you say that is rewarding and makes me feel proud. So thank you.
I think that's important because sometimes we get stuck on the brand and the outward image. We try to see ourselves through outward eyes, and there's a certain energy that comes from that, like, I gotta perform. You do this beautiful job of just being the thing you want to be. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Exactly what you said. It's not the outside that matters. It's not how the outside perceives you, the amount of likes or projects you have. It's what's happening on the inside. I truly believe, especially this year, that what's happening inside is creating the outside. And so that's why everything I put out there, it's been a little restrained lately and not as much on social media. I'm working on how I want to do that. But before, I was operating from the outside in and what people think of me, if they're going to like me literally on social media versus figuring out what's happening inside and what you can bring to the world. My clients or everyone I work with, my vendors, beautiful people like you, that's what I'm perceiving happening. And it's super cool.
Cool. I want to put in that in a second. I've got like 80 things from that bit I want to talk about. But I do want
Okay.
to start with the stats. I start with the stats because there are interior design businesses. None of it is wrong. None of it is prescriptive. It's a choice you can make. So we're
Absolutely.
start with your data. So how long?
I was actually another firm name, Schema Interiors. When I founded Schema Interiors, I was pregnant with my second child and decided with my mentor and previous employer, it was time to fly the nest. My first job out of design school in 98, I was pregnant with my daughter. I was raising my kids, finding my way in my marriage and this Orthodox Jewish community and getting my experience from the community, helping people build homes. But I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't have a website. I didn't know anything about marketing. After my divorce in 2012, I really had to figure out, okay, is this what I really want to do? And just angels sent to me along the way. I met my first business coach, James Lynch, and he empowered me to completely reinvent. And we came up with GoGo Design Group in 2012. I like established website, really started learning about networking. But at the same time, he was introducing me to people like Brene Brown and Eckhart Tolle and really trying to help me. And he just so empowered me and opened up my heart and my world to the power of vulnerability and authenticity. Ever since then, I have been going back to that. In fact, Brene Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, it came out, I think it was 2017. I read it, rocked my world. I took it back out after I got back from my trip to Zimbabwe. That I was there a couple weeks ago, and I'm reading it again from this newly transformed, empowered woman and entrepreneur. Braving the Wilderness, Brene Brown. She also wrote Daring Greatly. And So yeah, that was really the beginning, Go-Go Design Group
That's
in
awesome.
2012. So that was a little long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, 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 that's totally fine. That's totally fine. You've touched on the beginnings of a lot of things that happened in your life.
Hmm.
Okay, that's great.
Hmm.
Does your staff size look like?
So everyone is 1099, meaning they're subcontractors. That is how I'm scaling my business. For instance, the designer who works with me on space planning, does my drawings, she has another job. While I'm scaling, I would love to offer her full-time work. It works for both of us because she's as needed. She's been with me for 7 years. And I've been able to offer her more hours. I have a virtual assistant who is my operations manager. So she also has a number of different clients. She's freelance. And then I have a bookkeeper. So no one is on staff, no employees. Everyone's 1099.
Okay. All right. And what size range do you give your projects? Like, are they how small and
Ideally,
how big?
I work on different projects and it really depends. However, I have compartmentalized the way I work with people in three ways. You can purchase a package of hours, and that's 10 hours. You can hire me on a lump sum fee to just redo a room or a number of rooms, or you can hire me to guide you through the renovation and new build construction process. So projects range probably from about 2,000 to $1 million. It depends on construction costs and furniture. That's where I'm at now. Of course, I always want to scale and I dream and grow. But as I've built my business, I started out helping people build smaller homes, or the market was different in the early 2000s. So that's pretty much the
Okay.
types of projects.
Do procurement?
I do procurement. Yeah, it's a really helpful revenue source. I have access to a lot of wholesale vendors. And with that, it helps me bring in revenue. But at the same time, I feel it's offering my client the best quality at the best cost.
Mm,
And of course, with online Paragold and Wayfair and everything, if I cannot, a lot of those vendors, I can get wholesale. If I cannot meet the online price, I always check because I would feel terrible if I sold something and they paid more for it. That's the soft spot in me. I'm completely transparent
okay.
about everything.
Before you mentioned vendors, something interesting about the interior design community is access to small businesses we support in art
Hmm.
design. Do you have some favorites? How did you find them?
How do I find word of mouth? I do a ton of networking and relationship building. So, for instance, the local people that I work here, I met through networking, through a contractor that introduced me to someone, just going to the mart and establishing relationships, the merchandise mart. I have a favorite showroom at the merchandise mart, CAI Designs, and I grew up there. They're like my family. I love their business model because they offer many manufacturers at different price points. I love supporting them in return because if we can match the online price, it's a win-win. I call it spreading the love, where everyone can make a little and the client's happy. It really is relationship building. I'm constantly getting educated. If someone sends me a cold call, I try to read every email. You reached out to me, I answered. It's really, I consider relationship building the way I've built my business, 80% of the way I've built my business.
Uh,
Because
would you,
it's collaborating and it's just so important because you're as strong as your weakest link. Always fine tuning the vendors and the contractors you work with just adds more value to the
Mhm.
experience you bring to your client. That is huge for me. I spend probably a third of my week networking, meeting new people.
Have you always
And
been great at building relationships, or is that a skill that's evolved?
it's evolved, especially with formal networking. I used to be a deer in headlights, and I would walk into one of those networking groups and who's going to talk to me because I didn't know who I was. I'm much more self confident now. And I was always the same Rebecca, warm hearted, but just didn't who would want to talk to me, especially in the luxury scene. And now I just have had a really great mentors in my life, and through an organization called Powerhouse Smart, Wendy Cohen, founder of Powerhouse Smart, and she was another business coach. I help people network now. Even professionals who are companies say they don't enjoy networking. I like it. I'm in full control. If I'm not feeling the energy, I usually go to a networking event or a meeting with a new vendor excited with anticipation. Like, what am I going to learn and who am I going to meet? And I'm
Yeah.
dorky like that.
Was there a moment when you realized this can be fun and enjoyable?
This is when it gets personal, because I really feel who we become business people is where we are personally.
Hmm.
And so I'd say as I learned more about myself and stepped into my power and healed from a lot of stuff, inner work, and breaking through limiting beliefs, down talking the gremlins in my head recently. I actually enjoy it. I'd say the last year, I really enjoy it because I lived in isolation for so long. And COVID was almost a relief to me
Mm.
because it was opportunity just to hibernate with my dog, just stepping into this new transformed Rebecca and just being able to see the world through different eyes with more compassion, less judgment. The judgment comes from feeling insecure. It's complicated, but I've started enjoying all of this and the networking when I started enjoying myself and liking myself better. Yeah, now I really enjoy it.
When I talk to people, there seems to be like almost like a before crowd and an after crowd of the before is kind of like pleasing, trying to please, trying.
Mhm.
The after crowd is where they learn to enjoy themselves. I
It's
love that.
getting older.
Really,
People don't like
yeah.
getting older, but I think it's awesome.
I
It's like
do.
you step into who you are, and it does take that long. So many different life experiences, even when we're children, right? That we develop these coping mechanisms. But once you hit a certain age, if you have been able to discover a way to figure out why we are the way we are, it's incredible. It's so liberating, right? I mean, I don't know how old you are. You look ageless. Your skin is gorgeous on the screen. I'm 61. I am here and I'm alive and I'm happy to be here. I am so happy to be here. Before it was an affirmation when you walk into one of those networking things, shoulders back, chest up, happy to be here, right? I am living it, man. Thank you, God.
How does that show up when dealing with a difficult client or scenario?
You got to flip the wording. It's not the client is difficult. The client is a human and is having responses to and getting triggered, whether they know or not, based on what's happening or the conversation. Or spending money is scary. You want to make sure you're making the right investment. With me, people spend a lot of money. The way I've learned to navigate it is to work on myself. I don't take things personally. It's not a reflection on me, it's the situation. I try to understand where the behavior is coming from. I ask questions and regard the situation with compassion. I put myself in their shoes.
Mhm.
I don't want to be treated badly, but that's never happened, thank goodness. And if it has, I've gotten an apology. I have to say to myself, it's not personal. It took years. I would beat myself up if I disappointed a client. The more empowered you get, the less disappointing you feel, because the communication is just more skilled and the interaction is just more skilled. That's what I've developed and experienced. It doesn't become a matter of whether the client's difficult. It just becomes a matter of how are you going to navigate this conversation and this person's emotions.
The amount
Mhm.
of grace you grant yourself is also the amount of grace that you're able to grant other people. I think,
So true. Most people don't have grace and compassion for themselves. And trust me, it's hard. I have a reminder. I have this bracelet on, and there's a charm on it that says grace. And I've got my ring here that reminds me of self love. And it's so true. I try to remind people, and even my clients, whether it's it does become kind of an intense personal relationship with me. Not all designers are like that. And I think that's what makes me different.
Mhm.
And that could be, you know, I'm always improving on that, not to give up too much of my energy. And I'm always improving upon setting boundaries. I love putting people at ease and creating a wonderful experience with our work together. A client who wouldn't be a good fit for me wouldn't want me as their designer. For me, the process is very, what do you want? Not show me a picture from Pinterest. Yeah, I that's great inspiration, but you could easily go to Walter Smith, Room and Board, or West Elm. That's not the kind of designer I am. I'm the kind of designer that's going to get, you use the word grit, like, yeah, let's dig deep and get uncomfortable and figure out what you need for your home to thrive.
So you're
And so
leaning
that's not
into,
for everybody.
yeah,
That
you're
is not
leaning
for
into the
everybody.
discomfort. Some people like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with discomfort.
Discomfort, embracing discomfort gives way for beauty and greatness. That's life, right? Getting out of our comfort zone. So I'm that kind of interior designer where my ideal client is someone who embraces the healing power of their home and is open to having their envelope pushed. I even say that when I first meet clients. If we're not a good fit, I bring that up. Otherwise, I'm not the right designer. I would be wasting your money.
It's like this open secret if you don't.
What do you mean by open secret?
Sometimes you meet somebody and you know you're good, but you won't hang out.
I,
Mutual feeling forced into a situation, like let's say a dinner party or a networking group where they split you up into groups.
you're going to
You know
connect
you're
with
not
some
going to be
people.
besties for life, but it's kind of like
Right?
you're good. Like I tolerate you.
It's an energetic thing, right? It's
Exactly.
if your energies align. A lot of times I'll meet with people and our energies align, but the timing isn't right or they're not
Mhm.
ready to pull the trigger. Other people, I'm very sensitive to that now, and I'm becoming more empowered in following my intuition. Sometimes I'll leave an initial meeting and say, yeah, I don't think I'm the right designer, but I'll do it anyway. And then sure enough, I don't bring my best work. So that's not good, right?
Yes. So that
So,
intuition, how do you foster your intuition?
how do I foster my intuition? Through spiritual practice, getting to know self and tuning out external constructs and what I should be doing, staying true to myself and my values. Those values can be encompassing. I've made financial mistakes in my business,
Mhm.
poured like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into my business for marketing, PR, that podcast. I wasn't listening to my intuition because it came from a place of fear, replacing running your business from fear to faith and surrender, believing in yourself. I really didn't know what that meant. As I get more in tune with surrendering, my intuition is becoming louder and louder. So I've said no to a lot of opportunities that in the past I would have said yes to from a pleasing perspective. So it really is, yes, listening to it, learning to listen to your intuition comes from making mistakes of not listening to your intuition. And I told you so. But even when you, that's not the way to fix it, you know? Sorry, you goofed again. The only way you can learn from the mistake is how could I have done that differently?
Yeah.
So it's really, yes, it's with experience of making the same mistake, signing with a client, knowing it wasn't going to work out, and neither of us enjoying the process, to either saying no, referring them to someone else, or a marketing opportunity, being on the board of an organization. I'm the kind of person also that I won't do anything that I won't put my whole heart and soul to. Accountability is a big value We all have a lot of values we live our lives by. And that is one of the values is accountability. And if I can't be accountable, I'm going to be miserable. So I don't want to bail halfway on a project. I want to show up. I need to show up and I need to show up with bells on. And just don't do that to myself anymore. And I think that's part of being true to myself. Something you learn through trial and error and failures. And I'm still going to fail and make mistakes. Mistakes and failures, it sounds cliche, but it's part of your journey and part of life. And that's important to embrace as an entrepreneur and being true to yourself. I think one of your questions on your list also was, what would you say to a mentee as an entrepreneur? Don't do something just because someone tells you to. Trust yourself, ask enough questions, and talk to as many people as you need to before you pull the trigger. It's not worth it throwing pasta on the wall and seeing if it's going to stick. It's most important to feel very, very grounded in what you're doing, why you're doing, and who you want to serve. Yes, people who have more experience are going to give you great advice, but that worked for them. Or for marketing consultants, PR firms, marketing agents, coaches. Always stay true to yourself and your values. I think when you start a business, you have to have a core set of values that are your grounding force for making key decisions. I had many mentors and everyone had an opinion. The Mart, I'd go to seminars, I'd come home, call my virtual assistant and say, we got to do this. I got to make moo cards for my next event. That was 10 or 15 years ago. And it was just hysterical in a bad way. It was chaos. And a business doesn't have to be run that way. Just because you're an entrepreneur, you got to put in the work, but you don't have to kill yourself.
Enjoy it.
If you're not enjoying it, it's not going to work. You hear all these success stories, right? But that's what I learned. So I slowed down and chill. Doesn't mean I don't get stressed.
Enjoyable. Go to bed on a Sunday night and look forward to what's coming the next day.
Sometimes I get the Sunday blues. Maybe I didn't sleep well. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. If I need to take the morning off to recharge, I'm going to do it. In life, we come first. How can we serve our clients if we're not taking care of ourselves?
I still find myself in the position sometimes between 8 and 5. If my list is done and I don't have much to do, I feel locked in. It's not 5 o'clock.
I know. I still, right. It's like every hour does not need to be scheduled. And I think it's all these entrepreneurial books that just in the past year I've been listening to and reading, and it doesn't have to be that way, but it's glorified, right?
Yeah.
Being busy and blah, 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 which is great. I think there's a difference between being productive and busy. That's wisdom learned as an entrepreneur. So
what are you reading right now?
I'm rereading books. So I'm rereading The Alchemist. I've read it a lot, and it's interesting reading it every few years to see where I'm at. And I'm reading Braving the Wilderness again, and just got The Untethered Soul. I'm embarrassed I don't know the author. I can go run and find out. But what it basically is, just the way I've healed myself. Throughout my life since a little girl, chronic depression, anxiety, PTSD, nothing worked. Medications didn't work. Probably the timing, I started in January with a whole new mindset. God said to me, it's your time. So I just started healing myself through spiritual practice, learning to separate spirit from human, loving human, but learning how to balance being really a spiritual being in a human world. So that's really what my world right now. And that's what The Untethered Soul is. And Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I'm re-listening to that, where you are literally kind of separating, you're observing the human side of you from the spiritual perspective. And so I'm just always like, okay, what's the next tool? Don't want to go down the rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So,
interesting because sometimes we feel like we have this new epiphany or skill of self-grace.
yeah.
What happens to me, I shouldn't universalize, but like, I'm here, I've arrived, I've done the thing, things are going to be so easy now. And then there's the next thing like, ha ha, joke's on you.
Oh, right. It's the human side, but that's the beauty of it, right? And I think
Yeah,
it's radical acceptance and becoming universal because I'm having more conversations like this. It's beautiful. The
yeah.
more you cultivate that mindset, we digress from entrepreneurial stuff, but I
Did we
think it's
though?
all
Did
related
we?
because all of this practice helps me navigate my business and relationships. Finally, stepping into a joy filled life after 61 years. I'm grateful. I live in gratitude every day. I'm grateful for you, Megan.
I'm grateful for you, Rebecca. This is so lovely. This touches on so many things. I almost feel unqualified to talk about because my background is accounting. And these are the types of conversations that I just thirst for because I think they're so important. It's so important for people to see that the status quo is not stuck. This isn't your forever. There are decisions learning and growing ahead.
Kudos to you for speaking about it and sharing it. When I connect with people and have these conversations with clients or friends, the more we share, the more we realize it is universal. And we don't have to be experts. We don't have to be experts. We're just fumbling through life. We're all works in progress. And so it's okay to talk about because what is it about? It's really about uplifting and supporting each other. Isn't that why we're here together?
I want to abolish the win-lose mindset. It's win, win, win.
Oh
Win, win,
my gosh, that's another great book.
gap in the gain. We're going to have to put
Um,
all these books in a list in the show notes.
Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. A
Got it.
win-win, win.
Everything's a win. So, Rebecca, what is next for you in your business? What's the vision?
My heart open for opportunities that could lead me to who knows where. Right now, I want to scale up my business, not from an ego standpoint, from a liberating standpoint. If I had staff that I could mentor and bring up, I could carry on the legacy of GoGo and spend time with my daughter in Israel or travel to Zimbabwe. My dream has always been probably Wanderlust. I haven't done a lot of travel, but I intend to collaborating with design build professionals globally. In Victoria Falls, I'm helping to open up a Powerhouse Smart design build chapter there and work closely with another designer, construction manager to support her and her projects there and help build the community. Here, I would have work will travel. I just want to spread the love and light. And I know this is a limiting belief, but I was going to say there are so many designers who travel the country and make tons and tons of money. But I feel like, why not me? Why not me learning? I want to learn about new markets. I want to learn about the California market, the Florida market. I just want to learn until my last breath.
Well, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for answering my call or message.
I'm honored and humbled. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Why My Business Works. If something in this episode sparked a question, a feeling, or a quiet yes, hold on to it. You don't need permission to build your business your way. You get to build it in a way that works for you.
Amen.
I'm Megan Dolly, and I'm rooting for you.
Thank you, Megan.